said, you know what, yeah, I want to be my boyfriend. He's got to change.
1994 was a record year in Hollywood. One actor earned over $700 million at the box office for 3 movies.
The #1 selling video, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and also the star of the #1 movie in the box office in the entire world at this very moment, The Mask. Please welcome Jim Carrey! His brand new film is entitled Dumb and Dumber. Please welcome one of the biggest stars on the planet, Jim Carrey.
Colossal, enormous, phenomenal. Plenty of superlatives apply to the hits and their success, but they especially fit the male lead, who made scaling the heights his trademark.
Here's Jim Carrey.
The highest salary ever paid to a star, the year's most profitable film, the most excessive physique ever seen on celluloid, and the most clownish, idiotic facial expression in film history. Jim Carrey, the last of the comedy monsters, reveled in excess. Too much was ideal. In hand-to-hand combat with every taboo, he jubilated in the triumph of aggressive comedy in Hollywood. How did Carrey, unknown at the dawn of the 90s, become the funniest man in the world? Who was the target of his avalanche of caricatures? Perhaps his uninhibited foolishness masked a critique of a society he deemed crass and vulgar. In January 1994, in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, American moviegoers discovered a new type of actor, the exuberant character played by Jim Carrey, a funny face with legs.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh? 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 I have exorcised the demons.
The way he took control of a shot reduced his co-stars to playing the audience at a one-man show. A single question puzzled all of Hollywood. How can a normal-looking white guy move his body like a piece of rubber?
Let's see that in an instant replay.
Good evening. My name is Jim Carrey. I'm a singing comic impressionist. And I'd like to start off this evening with a piece from the new punk ballet, Wounded Swan Lake.
15 years before Ace Ventura, Carrey had been training, but not in a drama school. He was doing celebrity impersonations at comedy clubs.
Clint Eastwood. James Dean.
Urged on by his father, his biggest fan, Jim Carrey made his debut at age 15 at Yuck Yucks in Toronto, Canada's primo comedy club. Over the years, he polished his shtick, gaining fame as a local phenomenon.
Boycott the Jim Carrey Show. Don't go in there. Dangerous to mental health. Boycott the Jim Carrey Show. Boycott the Jim Carrey Show. Boycott the Jim Carrey Show.
Were you just born with this plastic face?
I guess. Always hamming it up, you know? Just sort of came natural. I didn't know until like a year ago that that was different than everybody else, that my face was so weird. I realized that that's what my special thing is, I guess, is that I'm weird.
You get the feeling that maybe at the age of 19, that you're going a little bit quicker than you should be?
No, I don't think so.
I think I've been waiting for it for a long time. I've only been in it for 2.5 years, but I've been thinking of it since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, so it's nothing new, you know. It's not something that I've always thought of doing. We won!
In 1983, Carrey left to try his luck in Los Angeles. He immediately landed a leading role in a sitcom called The Duck Factory, about an animation studio. He played a naive artist, a lot like himself. But the euphoria was short-lived. The clean-cut character and his forthright attitude were not a good showcase for Carrey's comedic talent. The series was yanked after 13 episodes, abruptly clipping Carrey's wings.
I'll see to it you never work in this town again. You'll never work anywhere again.
Certainly sounds fair.
Sit down over here, Mrs. McGuinn.
A few years in limbo ensued. Carrey returned to stand-up and contented himself with supporting roles, sometimes in the shadow of the brighter stars of the era.
Here, Clint Eastwood relegates Carrey to acting hell with a dark-eyed glare.
In the 80s, action movies featuring muscular heroes like Stallone and Schwarzenegger were all the rage. Nothing about Jim Carrey hinted that he might become a rival. Who'd have guessed he'd be the next heavyweight champ of mass-market cinema? Yet within 10 years, the teeny bopper from The Duck Factory was finally gaining fame in family comedy.
The mother rhino is giving birth.
This slapstick take on birth, likening Carrey to a lowly turd, shows that thrilling young viewers was not his calling. Actually, he terrified children.
Mommy!
Shot one after the other, the two Ace Ventura movies drove comedy back into its most obscene readout.
Do not go in there. Woo!
What happened between The Duck Factory and Ace Ventura? How did Jim Carrey morph into a trashy version of the Canadian celebrity impersonator?
Oh, Sada mia!
In 1990, before his explosion on the big screen, Jim Carrey had been hired for a sketch comedy series called In Living Color.
Oh my God! Look what happened! By accident!
The show was a turning point in his career. He discovered his taste for outrageousness, inventing characters that were increasingly over the top.
Before you go, give your dad some sugar.
Oh, Dad.
After 4 years of this radical program, Jim Carrey had come into his own as a virtuoso of excess. Each of his sketches was more insolent than the one before.
What the hell was the lesson in that?
Hey! Can't I do anything for fun?
In Living Color, featuring an African-American cast and writers, was one of the first shows aired by Fox Entertainment. Their raw, corrosive humor was a bid to stand out from the major networks.
Wow! Welcome, Richard!
Everybody calls me Dick.
He's just so different.
Yeah. Who would have ever expected it? Our daughter dating a white guy.
Now the story that might never have surfaced if someone hadn't picked up his home video camera. We've all seen the pictures of Los Angeles police officers beating a man they had just pulled over. Here's ABC's Gary Shepard.
The 3 police officers facing felony criminal charges were among a group of 15 who stopped a 25-year-old black man last Saturday night, then beat him, kicked him, and clubbed him, unaware that an amateur photographer was recording the incident on videotape.
The show was contemporary with the Rodney King affair, when the acquittal of the LAPD officers who savagely beat a black man sparked riots in Los Angeles. The footage went round the world, publicizing the racial and social ills still plaguing American society.
In living color and its creators, the Wayans brothers, caught the news wave and surfed it.
Yo, 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 all you bad bargain hunters out there, welcome to the Homeboy Shopping Network.
The Homeboy Shopping Network skit was a typically brilliant takeoff. Crude stereotypes satirized the racism behind the indignation in media coverage of the riots.
Now, for your automotive needs, we got car phones, we got car stereos, we got car alarms. And if you act now, we could probably get the car. Keep me from getting...
A lone white surrounded by blacks, Jim Carrey bridged the gap between communities.
I want to introduce a young man to you now who's incredibly talented. He's from the cast of In Living Color. He's the only one who's not. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jim Carrey.
Boy, those riots were really something, weren't they? I've never seen anything quite like it. Of course, I was perfectly safe because I'm on In Living Color. I just put a big sign on my back, black owned.
Always daring, often censored, In Living Color took aim at a violent, racist America, inescapably segregated. In 4 years, the series had raised a lot of hell, so much that showbiz had to outdo it.
Michael Jackson's 1993 Super Bowl halftime performance made history. His concert rescued America's most widely viewed sports event. Ratings had plummeted at halftime the year before, and the Super Bowl's new network and sponsors were worried.
Until Jackson, the only entertainment featured at Super Bowl halftime was a majorette parade.
It's winter magic!
The ultra-corny display was an opportunity for In Living Color to offer a hipper alternative.
We interrupt regular programming to present the In Living Color Super Halftime Party, live from Hollywood.
Our Super Bowl countdown clock. It'll be coming on later in the show to let you know when to switch back to the second half. You won't miss any of the senseless brutality.
To everyone's surprise, 22 million viewers flipped channels to Fox during halftime to check out the Wayans brothers' show. That was all it took for the Super Bowl organizers to make a deal with Michael Jackson, and later, other superstars. But it took no less to force America to open its eyes to its invisible racial minority and the outsiders from In Living Color. That evening, one skit in particular attracted notice, the background guy, and it was Jim Carrey's brainchild.
You know, what I'm trying to get them to do is don't let them dictate the game, and I believe if we play as hard as we can, then we can play up to our potential, OJ.
Well, look, how do you feel about the team's first half performance?
We get a few breaks and we'll be fine, you know, but as you know, this game is a game of ups and downs, so we're going to go out there and get the momentum going for us, you know?
Well, look, Buffalo got their running game going early. They're penetrating the line. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to put some linebackers in there? Are you going to step up, so on and so on? What's going to happen?
Playing a passerby video bombing an interview, Carrey commented on the heist while it was underway. Like the background guy, In Living Color was upstaging a show to which it had not been invited.
So they just got to go out there with their heads.
Well, I think that's the signal for the second half. I got one more question.
Perhaps unwittingly, the young Canadian had honored a hero of comic cinema. Charlie Chaplin, in his first appearance as the Little Tramp for Keystone Studios in 1914, plays an unknown seeking film fame. Chaplin's shabby vagabond reflected his own precarious situation as an immigrant. The movie screen is comparable to mainstream American society, to which minorities and outsiders yearn to belong. 8 decades later, Jim Carrey's background guy made the same point. A television camera could give the invisible men, undesirables, and minorities a chance to strut their stuff in the hope that someday they too might gain fame and fortune.
They faced incredible odds and unbeatable enemies. to earn the name hero. But now there's a new way to spell action.
In 1994, as this trailer shows, the outsider dared even more than merely venture into the field.
Jim Carrey is Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Carrey's mockery of 80s heroism made the whole spectacle of virility seem corny.
We don't have prepared
The end of the Cold War had eliminated America's last enemy. The U.S. imagined itself leading a new, peaceful, stable world order. In the 90s, for lack of a cause to defend, the action film and its heroes declined, while regressive comedy blossomed.
Sure. In front of that right there. Jim! Please. Wave, Jim! Wave. Wave? Excuse me, Geppetto. Hold on. How's that? Okay. I'm a real boy now.
In Dumb and Dumber, released a few months after Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey continued to lampoon the American way of life. He and his co-star, Jeff Daniels, played the ultimate movie jackasses.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Hoping to become rich men, they embark on a cross-country trip. The two fools take the American dream to such fervent extremes, they reveal its absurdity. When the two happen to find a suitcase full of cash, the stroke of good luck, instead of lifting them up, only broadens the scope of their stupidity.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, sir. There you go. There you go. There you go.
The movie mirrors the 90s perfectly. Affluent, reckless, and reconciled with materialism and consumerism, the new national pastime. On the cultural product market, it's no accident that Jim Carrey and the bling aesthetic emerged simultaneously.
50-inch screen, money green, leather sofa. Got 2 rides, a limousine with the chauffeur. Phone bill about 2 G's flat. No need to worry, my accountant handles that. Birthdays was the worst days. Now we sip champagne when we thirsty.
Gangster rap and Dumb and Dumber make a display of the lust for luxury in order to disfigure it, with a grin so tense it is synonymous with excess.
Howdy, Jim.
Blow me, Dennis. Kiss my hairy ass. By the way, Dennis?
Yes.
My name is no longer Jim Carrey. I've changed that now.
Oh.
Yeah, I just felt at this point it was a little too accessible. And so I've decided to, like Prince, find a symbol for myself that basically defines me.
Uh-huh.
And this is what I've come up with.
On television, Jim Carrey continued to flaunt his fortune in the self-mocking spirit of his movies. Success alone did not suffice. It had to be exhibited, made into a joke, the symbol of a ridiculous worship of the colossal.
The feature, The Mask, clinched 1994 and made it the year of Jim Carrey. It's a Jekyll Hyde type drama told with a Tex Avery accent. The film belongs to a time when cartoons were making a comeback after the triumph of Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 1988. Starting then, Disney resumed releasing one animated feature per year. It developed the Disney Channel and opened a theme park on the outskirts of Paris. Television struck back, responding with new cartoon channels and animated series. Hollywood studios churned out adaptations featuring live-action actors amid popular cartoons. Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, and Mike Myers all yielded to CGI magic.
The wave that started in Hollywood spread worldwide, bringing what was termed a second golden age to animation.
Who can?
So, buzz around town is you and the mask. How does that make you feel?
Gosh, it's just, it's been years and it's about damn time. I think, it just afforded me the opportunity to do both things, which is do the things that people want to see right now, which is the crazy, nutty stuff, and it was also a chance for me to be Stanley Ipkiss, which is a normal three-dimensional character that is kind of entertaining on his own, hopefully.
Though Jim Carrey was indeed one of the stars of the movie, his co-star was another phenomenon, digital special effects. The trend towards animation gave us The Mask. But its makers upped the ante by using CGI to enhance a body that was already a special effect in and of itself. This metamorphosis reflected one in filmmaking. Since the early 90s, digital effects had been all the rage. Striking visuals and an international success made The Mask the legendary animated feature.
But there's more to the movie than that.
All right, Mrs. Peenman!
It also marked the emergence of a theme that would make Jim Carrey a social commentator.
We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking. We suppress the id, our darkest desires, and adopt a more socially acceptable image.
Well, the book is, of course, The Masks We Wear by Dr. Arthur Newman. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Above all, The Mask is the story of an average man who is suddenly emancipated by an enchanted mask. The fantasy is merely an excuse to talk about the social mask, the veneer of courtesy that is the key to success in society.
You clue into a character they like, and you got to kind of play it forever.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a drag. It's like, well, for instance, this isn't even my face. This is a thing. It's just a persona.
It's a little trick, a little acting trick?
It's what I use to put me over.
That's my real face.
Woo!
What a relief! Man, sometimes I get so tired of the facade. I just wish I could be myself, I mean, my real fans would stick with me.
Carrey was also fated by his mugging to shatter the hypocritical face in a burst of laughter, poking fun at social conformism.
Damn it!
In Liar, Liar, he played an attorney who owes his brilliant career to his mendacity.
Any calls?
Judge Rawlings' clerk, he needs your filing.
Tell him it's in the mail.
Right, she'll do it next week. Mr. McKinley phoned to confirm your meeting tomorrow.
Strep throat. No, some kind of virus. What's going around?
Asian flu?
Good one.
And your mother called.
I'm on vacation.
It's your 5th week.
Snowed in. Phones are down.
Break mother's heart. Done.
When a curse forces him to be totally honest for 24 hours, his true face is revealed.
What's your case?
Our case is simply this.
Deprived of the glibness that greased his axles, the attorney deflates like a flat tire. In the classic courtroom setting, Carrey accuses white-collar America, daring it to admit it is guilty of dissimulation. All in good fun, of course.
Do Simmons! Simmons is old! He should have been out of the game years ago, but he can't stay home because he hates his wife. You've met her at the Christmas parties. She's the one that gets plastered and calls him a retard. And you, Tom, you're the biggest brown nose I've ever seen. You've got your head so far up Mr. Allen's ass, I can't tell where you end and he begins.
I, William Jefferson Clinton, do solemnly swear.
I, William Jefferson Clinton, do solemnly swear.
1 year later, the Monica Lewinsky scandal and Bill Clinton's perjury echoed Jim Carrey's comedy.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong. It constituted a critical lapse in judgment and a personal failure on my part for which I am solely and completely responsible. I misled people, including even my wife. I deeply regret that.
Caught red-handed like a dime store Casanova, the president damaged both his image and that of the U.S. The next day, the press was ruthless. The New York Daily News headline, "Liar, Liar," referred directly to Carrey's film.
Liar, liar.
But Bill and Jim had met before.
Come and listen to a story about a man named Bill. Pick Razorback with the destiny to fill.
In 1992, in a skit on In Living Color, Jim Carrey had already lampooned Clinton, depicting the Arkansas native as a hick who'd come to D.C. to party, letting his wife Hillary solve the difficult problems of government. The joke was based on earlier misconduct, but it was nonetheless prophetic. Jim Carrey was the face of the Clinton years.
Excuse me. Charlie. Hey, you mind if I get ahead of you? I'm in a wicked rush. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
You're a doll. Hey, kids! Over here! Now! Stay with me.
3 years later, in Me, Myself, and Irene, Jim Carrey played Charlie Baileygates, a police officer so excessively mild-mannered that develops a split personality, and the aggressive Hank takes over his body. Again, Carrey lost face, this time wearing a policeman's uniform.
Got you clean, huh? What's the matter, honey? Little extra cheese on the taco?
The Farrelly brothers' film is a free-for-all. Copying the president's duplicity, Charlie violates the laws he's supposed to protect.
That looks good.
What's the matter, Hank? Afraid to pick on someone your own size?
But Me, Myself, and Irene is also, and especially, a best of Jim Carrey. The script offers him the craziest performance of his career, a fist fight between two personalities sharing a single body. This is the feat Hollywood intended for the actor with 1,000 faces, to honor the illustrious history of slapstick with a schizophrenic last stand.
Jesus, you're heavy. Get in there.
For Jim Carrey, schizoid madness is not just a put-on.
Jim, because you think you're worth the $20 million? Yes.
Scenes of him going from tears to laughter during an interview or clowning around for the crew made it clear that a movie camera is a trigger.
the shot!
Jim Carrey is a comedy machine that no one and nothing can stop.
Because they underestimate my audience.
When the movie camera pauses, the making of camera keeps rolling. There's always a new audience to entertain. Behind the mask, there's always another mask.
Now, you're known for being funny on screen, and you are
Really?
very funny on screen. What's the real Jim Carrey like, though? Do you have a serious side too? Or is this the whole ball of wax?
I carry a gun, and I don't take any crap from anybody.
Do you understand?
To say Carrey is a good talk show guest would be an understatement. He controls his image better than anyone else.
I just started renaming the cities and countries. There's Zimbabwe over there. That's Jimdonesia. Madagascar is going to be a fun place.
Hi. Jim Carrey. I forced my entry.
On television, he is unusually relaxed, even among actors, appearance professionals. He cannot be thrown, even by a trick question.
That because it was like your marriage, and you're talking about your first marriage. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
No.
No, please? You want to move on again?
I think so. Could we?
Every time you want to move on, just make that face.
I'll just do this. I'll wipe.
How about, you know what? You're here.
God, it's hot.
What's the matter?
Are you hot? See, the camera guys are hot. You're the only one that's not sweating. You're a mutant! I just take his face like...
Born in the early 60s, Jim Carrey belongs to the first generation raised in the bluish glow of the black and white TV. Over the decades, the influence of TV has grown. It invites itself into every room in the house and even into behavior. Between 1996 and 1999, Jim Carrey used his power in Hollywood to shoot 3 movies, forming a trilogy about television. All 3 travel back into their hero's childhood, as if Carrey believed that talk about TV always meant talk about childhood.
Let's do this.
Playing the title role in The Cable Guy, devouring popular shows, Carrey embodies a child of television. Hypnotized by the boob tube, we see him as he grows. It is his electronic babysitter. The description fits Jim Carrey's childhood perfectly. His mother, who suffered from depression, spent her time in front of American programs like The Carol Burnett Show.
The Careys were a typical middle-class family. The only exception was their electrified son. When he was 10, Jim wrote to The Carol Burnett Show asking for a job. They gently refused. Getting inside the TV set, entertaining his mom and making her smile summed up the little Canadian's fondest wish. To live inside the TV, watched by millions of strangers, unaware. That's Truman's predicament in The Truman Show, which pushes the childhood wish to its nightmare extreme. TV watches us from infancy, exploiting our lives, and becomes an image prison to be fled, no matter what.
Childhood again, and its ever-present TV. Man on the Moon starts with a little boy imagining he's a television performer.
It's not true. Today's special guest, Mr. Bear. What's up, Mr. Bear?
Andy?
Oh.
Son, this has got to stop. Our house is not a television station. There's not a camera in that wall. No more playing alone. You want to perform, you have got to have an audience.
They're right there.
That is not an audience. That is plaster. An audience is made of people who live and breathe.
The movie is a biography of the late Andy Kaufman.
Fridays! Tonight, special guest star, Andy Kaufman.
A comedian whose obsession with TV had curdled into hatred.
He's
coming back to the table.
This skit, in which Kaufman sows mayhem, shows how his art consisted in failing expectations to destroy TV from inside.
Hey, that's it. Joey, go to commercial now.
I told you I didn't want to do the sketch.
Kaufman, get off my stage. Get off my stage, man. Get off.
No, man.
Touch me. You're a nut. You are a nut.
With his television trilogy, Jim Carrey revealed the secret of his exuberance. He was forged by the boob tube. Unlike Andy Kaufman, Carrey subverted television by over-fulfilling its expectations. Jim Carrey was the face of the 90s because the showbiz industry had come to resemble him.
The craftsman of the outre had become an expert in the art of satisfying America, feeding it the mind candy it loved. After the 9/11 attacks, the 2000s traced a new horizon for the USA. Under George W. Bush, the mood was no longer silly. Retaliation and the Patriot Act were on the agenda.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
And, as if the new century demanded new models, sobriety's return to the White House went hand in hand with a return of the superhero, powered by renewed patriotism.
The CGI technology at work in The Mask was a boon not to cartoons and satire, but to its opposite, grim power. The more digital imagery gained in realism, the more it abandoned comedy. It was as if the point was to armor the new sheriffs against every possible type of attack, beginning with ridicule. The light of comedy was snuffed out of Hollywood. The declining popularity of the cartoon spelled doom for the jokesters of the 90s, like Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, and Mike Myers. Their voices were recycled for computer-generated heroes. Their bodies were superfluous.
We're in love! We're in love!
The cinema of the 2010s completed the metamorphosis. Dominated by Disney franchises, Hollywood adopted the witty patriotism of the Avengers, the interstellar exoticism of Star Wars, and the innocuous buffoonery of Pirates of the Caribbean. Cartoon figures are absent from today's theme parks. They've been upstaged by these new Disney superheroes, crusaders for a fantasy law and order land.
Joel.
Frank?
You want some fries with that shake?
I have to go to sleep now, Frank.
Well, it's 8:30.
Jim Carrey was affected by this change of mood. For him, the George Bush years were one long hangover. In 2004, in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, he played the unrecognizably glum Joel Barish.
No.
Yes Man and A Christmas Carol began a whole series of movies featuring the same withdrawn character. In this nightmarish scene from Yes Man, Carrey, his face frozen in a grimace, seems to warn himself to beware. If you remain petrified in fashion's past, like the tunes, obsolescence is bound to catch up with you.
Wasn't a good friend. Wasn't a good anything. Hey, there more beers in the fridge?
Oh, sorry. Last one.
Well, that's upsetting.
In A Christmas Carol, made using motion capture, a tale populated by phantoms strikes a Judgment Day tone. Digital technology sampled Carrey's faceprint and robbed him of his body, a mere fossil. All that CGI can offer him is a grave.
Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
Okay guys, the first thing that you need to know is that the internet is amazing and it's changing every day.
The internet revolution of the late 90s also undermined the power of television and its boomer babies.
By the mid-2000s, anyone could create a television channel on YouTube, although you were liable to run out of steam after a single video.
All right, so here we are in front of the elephants. The cool thing about these guys is that they have really, really long fronts, and that's cool. And that's pretty much all there is to say.
You know, I used to really want to be famous, and now everybody's doing it, you know? Yeah. Everybody's doing it, man. It's YouTube. It's like everywhere. Everybody and their mother's famous, man. You know, the plumber in the crowd right now who's mining a fortune from his butt crack, I'm sure. It's gonna be huge, the butt crack, reality show. But, you know, sooner or later, truly, everybody in this audience is going to be famous. Really? I promise. Right. It's going to happen. Because we as a culture are absolutely fame obsessed. And you know what happens? When that happens, I'm going to quit the business and become the only audience member left. Wow. But I'm just going to be entertained by you guys in your lives. Let me ask you something. Hey, that's too much.
As Jim Carrey predicted, the internet and social media have overturned our relationship to images.
Today, Truman's nightmare is our sweetest dream. Instead of being stressed out by surveillance, we long to be watched. Exhibiting his private life, the YouTuber is a Truman enamored of his own show.
The actor has gradually faded away, becoming the last viewer, watching the world's madness.
Before I even got elected, and it's a disgrace that it happened, and if you look at what's gone on, and if you look at now all of this information that's being released, and from what it should never be allowed to happen in our country.
With distance from Hollywood came freedom from an actor's forced political neutrality. Today, Carrey has no compunctions about explicitly criticizing his adoptive land.
The crime is very obvious to everybody. All you have to do is read the newspaper.
Do you hate your country, Mr. Allen?
What?
Do you hate America?
The question has been raised, and not just as a joke, as in Yes Man, especially after the uproar caused by this acerbic song.
Filmed after NRA poster boy Charlton Heston's death in 2008, it mocked an American obsession.
It takes a cold dead hand to decide to pull the trigger. Takes a cold dead heart, and as near as I can figure, with your cold dead aim, you're trying to prove your dick is bigger. But we know your chariot may not be swinging low.
Carrey's political opinions became clearer in the 2010s. Actually, since In Living Color, he's been using satire.
He's down! He's down!
He has been using satire to ridicule the brutal, domineering tendencies of white society.
If he gets to the highway, we done lost him.
As you can see, there has always been a place for blacks at our club, as long as they're not holding one.
Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, presented even more damning evidence of white racism, sending up the arrogance and smugness of European colonials in Africa.
We've been coexisting quite nicely with the native cultures for the past 200 years. They're almost like family at this point.
Are they? In Africa, though, I go out in the country. Woo! You see some lions and shit. I'm talking about real lions, not them kind you be fucking with in the zoo. You know how you go fuck with the lion? Hey, lion, motherfucker!
Jim Carrey is one of the rare white comedians inspired by race relations. He knows he owes his provocative attitude to In Living Color, and in turn, to the critical eye of black humorists like Richard Pryor, Bill Cosby, and Chris Rock.
He's a funny motherfucker.
What if Carrey's attitude has oozed into more films than we think? What if The Grinch, that Christmas blockbuster, hijacked mass-market cinema to deliver a subversive message? As an outcast living on a mountain of trash, Carrey is reunited with his tramp, the outsider who can easily be associated with the loser, the black man, the old man, or any other person left out of affluent American consumerism.
Gifts! Gifts! Gifts, 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 gifts! You want to know what happens to your gifts? They all come to me. In your garbage. You see what I'm saying? In your garbage!
Any retrospective of Carrey's work would be incomplete without The Grinch, and the way its glitzy blonde fantasyland finally goes up in flames.
These days, Jim Carrey spends most of his time in the secrecy of his studio, painting.
It's getting kind of pedestrian to me now, the teal. You know what I'd like to do is just start threading in some purple, you know, into these things.
Carrey's Hollywood acting days are behind him now, and he doesn't seem to mind. From now on, in front of the camera, he plays himself, unmasked. He has turned back into the child, alone in his bedroom, devoted to his creations. Without a character hiding him, Jim Carrey allows his true and enduring self to emerge, a boy bubbling with creativity and ideas, whose calling was clear to him very early in life.
When I was a kid, I had a job, at least in my own mind, and that was to make my mother feel better. She was kind of very ill in many ways, and so it was to make her feel better. And I think ultimately, I imitated my father. He was a very funny guy, but also I felt some need, and maybe I don't know whether they created it or I created it, but I felt a need to make them feel that their life was worthwhile, that they did something special just by the very fact that they brought me into the world. Yeah. So from a very young age, I wanted to convince them that I was a miracle. And then I wanted to convince the world that I was a miracle. and now I want to convince the world that I'm just like them.
Jim Carrey is not merely a toon, a giant goofball, or the funniest man in the world. He is all of that, bound up with an excessiveness belonging to childhood, the childhood of a body, reminding cinema of its slapstick sources, the childhood of a gaze drunk on television, the childhood of this desire for the show to last forever, and the eternal childhood of an America capable of doing the worst and of celebrating the greatest.
You might want to zoom in on this one.
You'll see that life is still worthwhile if you just